Yeah, and but even the recording, I think.
Initially, the most important thing to remember about expected value, which ended up leading to the question that we did, was that expected value is summation of probability times the value of the outcome. And then we looked at sensitivity analysis initially, explaining that sensitivity is a measure of how a change in one project variable while keeping other project variables constant affects the net present value of a project. We said sensitivity measures how the change in one project variable, would affect the NPV. We said the project variables include selling price, variable cost, fixed cost, sales volume, and discount rate. These 5 are the most popular project variables that we consider when we are carrying out sensitivity analysis. And we said that mathematically, sensitivity is equal to NPV of a project variable multiplied by 100%. Sorry, NPV divided by the present value of the project variable, all multiplied by 100. Okay, so, and we looked at the different ones. I said the 2 that we should focus on and the 2 that could usually be tested in the exam. Any of them is fair game, but the 2 that are less, that would find less intuitive are the sensitivity to sales volume, which is equal to NPV divided by present value of contribution, and then sensitivity to discount rate, which is measured using IRR. And we discussed this to some degree. I said that when we're considering the values of different project variables, we should incorporate tax. So we should 1 minus T the present values to be able to get the proper discount rate or the proper value we should use in the denominator of our sensitivity. Okay, so that's basically where we are. So if we're looking at sensitivity, I can give a very general question so that helps us appreciate the concept of sensitivity. Okay, so I will. Okay, so this was the vexing question. I kind of even felt like we could actually use one of our previous questions to do the sensitivity analysis. Conversely, we can actually even use the other question we've not done to do the sensitivity analysis. So I don't know what our suggestions would be that we can move on. The other way is to make it simple and just I could just create a very basic question and use that to calculate our sensitivity.
Well, Brian, why don't you kill?
So if you have any suggestions,
why don't you kill 2 birds with 1 stone by answering the question as well as
and using that to do sensitivity, Abi?
Yeah.
So that's what I suggested. Okay. I just hope it doesn't complicate anything. So let's go ahead. Let's go back. So our question, we had one question there that we had not done. So we can do that and use that to do sensitivity. Hraxim, Abi?
163.
So unfortunately, it seems like if we have done almost every question here. Okay. So you have very little work to do on your own. But I personally don't mind. It might just be that I usually say every time I do something, I overdo something in class. It usually means that is going to come out in the exam.
Amen. Amen. Preach on. Preach on. I don't
know. I don't know.
Prophets.
I don't know why you're saying you're calling my name like this, like if I did something wrong. I'm serious. It happens to me every single time. If anybody has been in any previous class, every time I do something, I usually, if I do some, generally I do a particular topic over 2 classes, and I end up doing it maybe for 3 or more classes, I will just start complaining about it, that this thing I'm doing over and over again, be careful, it will come out. And it
So please,
always,
what is it that, please
almost
tell us
always
again,
happens.
let's be sure. What's it that you have done over and over again? Is this sensitivity?
I'm just saying that this whole MPV thing, we have done more than what we normally do about it. So it's very likely that it's almost in every, MPV is one of the most examined questions in part C of the syllabus. So it's not strange at all. I'm not saying anything that is different from what normally happens. Okay, please. I see that the way that this question was sent. I didn't hear you.
I said with you by our side, we are covered.
Amen. Oh, amen. I will try my best. Okay, I see that the Hraxim that was sent to the group is cut wonka and it's not. I can't see all the edges, so I might not be able to see the question properly. So please, can someone please resend the question on the group? Okay, like one of the things is, this is not our question for the day, so I don't want to spend any unnecessary time on it. We're just doing only the computation. The B part, and I can't see whether it has a C part. It's not clear at all here. So the B part is,
it's on the group now.
Okay, and I've even seen it. I've seen another one. It was sent twice. Okay, I didn't get anything. No.
Send it down.
Did you send it again?
Yeah, I sent it again.
Okay, it hasn't delivered yet. Okay, so I don't want us to spend most of our time on it so that we'll have time to do other things. Okay, the other one is a bit fairer, even though it's still same Scott. Okay, so there's a C part. Okay, I've gotten it now. Okay, this is a lot better. Wow. This is so clear. Okay, so Hraxim, the C part says, discuss, okay, critically discussive sensitivity analysis would assist Hraxim in assessing the risk of the investment project. That's the C part. And then the A part that we are considering. So we're going to do the A part and then use that A part to compute sensitivity for the different project variables. And then it also helps us to use expected value again. So the question says, calculate the expected net present value of the investment project and comment on its financial acceptability. So I'll use the time we have to set up. So Hraxim is appraising an investment project, which everybody there, 163, or it's on the group. Okay, so Hraxim is appraising an investment project, which has an expected life of 4 years and which will not be repeated. The initial investment payable in the first year of operation is 5 million. Scrap value 500,000, and is expected to arise at the end of 4 years. There's some uncertainty about what price can be charged for the unit products, for the units produced by the investment project, as this is expected to depend on the future state of the economy. The following forecasts of selling prices and their probabilities have been prepared. So in the other question, in the vaccine, it was variable cost that we had expected value for. But in this question, it is selling price.
Selling price.
So just see how the question differs. It's no big deal. But they won't. I've not seen a question that has more than one of them, so it's fine.
Okay,
so they said
one of the variables.
Just one of the variables. But even if they made 10 of the variables, it won't make any difference. We'll just do expected value for each of them.
Okay.
We won't change anything. Okay, so they've given us our future states: weak, medium, strong. They've given us probabilities at 35, 50, and 15%. And they've given us selling price in current price terms. And remember, current price terms means today's price.
Inflation.
So it means that we should inflate them. So they've not added inflation yet, but we would add inflation. Okay. Okay, now, so we have 25, 30, and $35 per unit. Now, the selling prices are expected to be subject to annual inflation of 4% per year, regardless of which economic state prevails in the future. So we have the inflation for selling price, forecast sales and production volumes, and total nominal variable costs have already been forecast as follows. Wow. So you see, our variable cost is nominal. So there is no need for inflation of the variable cost.
Okay.
Is that fine?
Yeah. It has been inflated already.
Yeah.
It has been already inflated. Now they said incremental overheads are 400 per year in current price. And so like all these new questions, they are very interesting. They are not a standard format that somebody should cram. They are something you have to understand. If you understand them, they're actually easier than the older. In the old days, questions used to be very standard. They'll have a lot of information, a lot of working capital, issue. So you can just memorize, not really have an understanding, and still get through them. Nowadays, everything, they try to twist the questions, just make little twists, little tweaks to the question to see whether you can appreciate what you're doing. If you really understand it, then it makes it pretty easy. So they've given us variable cost in nominal price terms and in total terms too, which is very rare. Variable cost is almost always given to us per unit. I've emphasized this times without number. This is one of the first times we will see a variable cost in total terms. Do you get the point?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're giving us incremental overheads at 400,000 per year in current price terms. So we'll have to do inflation for fixed costs, but we won't need to do inflation for variable costs. Interesting.
Okay,
So
overheads. Hello, Mr. Brian. Mr. Brian.
Yes.
Overheads is also fixed cost, right?
Yeah, once we see overheads, we know that that is the fixed. If they put variable costs, so variable overheads are already with the variable cost.
Okay.
So any other thing, once they say incremental will generally mean fixed cost, because variable costs are incremental cost. But once you see incremental overheads, it means incremental fixed cost.
Fixed cost, okay.
Yeah. So so they said a large portion of these overheads relate to energy costs, which are expected to increase sharply in the future because of energy supply shortages. So overhead inflation of 10% per year is expected. Okay, cool. Let me just emphasize something because we're not seeing it and it's not likely we'll do another question. But there might be a question where they tell you that there are maybe out of our overheads now, 20% of them are allocated, while the remaining relates to this project particularly. Now, please, this is a very, very important thing I'm mentioning. If they tell you about allocated overheads are not included in your net present value calculation. Remember that we said net present value uses relevant costing and relevant cash flow techniques. Allocated overheads are not relevant costs. They are committed costs. So because they are committed, they will not be reflected. So if this question had told us that we have allocated overheads of 20%, then the relevant incremental overheads would have incorporated in our question would have been only 80% of the total overheads given. Please, did you get what I said?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay, that's great, because that is very, very, very important, and that is very, very examinable, either as part of your theory question or as part of your part C, the constructed response, or as part of your A or B. It can be anywhere. So if we have allocated overheads are not part of your MPV computation because they are not relevant. Okay, so let me just get through the end of this before it logs us off and we come back and solve the question.
That is only the incremental one.
Okay, so it says, yeah, only the incremental one, yes. So allocated
related to this one.
To the project. Only fixed costs that are related to the project are used in MPV computation.
Yeah.
Okay. So the final part, they said initial investment will attract tax allowable depreciation on a straight line basis. So I think apart from the first time, we've not seen straight line basis. So very interesting how this question is so significantly different from the other question, even though they look very alike in the face of it. Okay, so the tax allowable depreciation straight line over 4 years, corporation tax are paid in the year in which they arise. Great, so that will help us with calculating sensitivity. I was just bothered about that. And then it has traditionally used a nominal after-tax discount rate of 11% per year for investment appraisal. So great, we have all the information we need. So we can set up and we can do the question. And once we're done with the question, we can now do sensitivity analysis, and then we'll be done for the class. Okay, so we'll reconnect shortly and then look through this question.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we do our first calculation now. Our first calculation is our expected value, right?
Yes.
Of selling price. So remember, our expected value is the summation of probability times the value. So we have for moderate, weak, and strong, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have.
Where did you get that summation?
I didn't hear you.
Where did you get a summation sign?
It's insert, and then you, I think on your, it's in a place that is very visible in the regular spreadsheet, but for Excel, it's insert, go to the extreme of insert, and then you will see symbols.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so our probability for week is 35%, right?
Which is 35%.
0.35. Strong 50%.
But Brian, this 0.5 that you're doing.
Sorry, medium.
If
Yes.
you're using Excel, if you write 35%, it just recognizes as 35%. Why I'm saying this, there are sometimes that one might just make the error.
Yes.
35, you just write.
Yes, but to start.
Sure, we can do that, right?
Right. Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. So, so something like 35. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we can do 50% and 15%.
Yeah.
Okay, so our values now. Our values are, I think 25, 30, 35 or something. Yeah.
25, 30, 35.
So our summation now will be equal to 35% multiplied by 25. And then the next one. So the next one now will be equal to same thing, 50% of 30. And then the final one is equal to 15% of 35. Okay, so so we can come here and say that our expected value is equal to, and then we can do the summation of all of them. So our expected value is $29, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we can start our question now. So we have and all of these things I'm doing are just because for our own practice. Please, in the exam, you don't need to be this detailed. Okay, so we go to, so first of all, here. So we have here 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
It's 15 hours.
So next thing now is our selling price.
How about sales volume?
And they said our selling price inflation. Yeah?
Okay, fine.
So our selling price inflation is 4%. So raised to power n. So we can come here, and the first one is equal to 29, right? Multiplied by 1.04 raised to the power, and we use our that box so that we can drag it. So we can drag this 4. Uh-oh. What did I do?
At least you need to do 2.
Doesn't have to do 2.
Hmm?
It doesn't have to do
He's
2.
having issues there. You know, there's a
It could be the way.
There's
It
a
could be the way
space,
he dragged it.
and there's a space in between.
I think I dragged it wrongly.
Okay.
It's the way he dragged it.
It's still not correct. There's nothing wrong with what I dragged.
Just remove that space in between.
So I'm wondering, I said F11 is this figure. So yes,
You have to lock F11.
Don't stress yourself locking. You don't have to lock.
If you don't, you shift.
I can just put 29 there now.
Exactly. If you use F11
So instead of
as,
copying it, I can just put the 29.
if you use F11 as a cell, you have to lock it. If you put the figure, you don't have to.
Okay, so that's that. So that's fine, Abi.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have that. And we'd like to walk to.
Sorry, Brian, can you
We'd like
put
to
your
walk to.
this thing? Let me the how you did the formula.
Okay, so I did the formula as 29 multiplied by 1.04 raised to power D13. So I used the 1 here so that I could drag it.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so we have our selling price. Oh, I completely forgot. So I can cheat because I'm not under exam condition. Let's put it doesn't matter. We could have put it under there. We could have put it on top. It doesn't make a difference. Our sales volume. And it doesn't make a difference where you put it. So our sales volume So what's our sales volume?
150.
One what?
150. 50.
Okay, 150. So we'll do our sales volume as usual in thousands. So 150. Next one.
250.
250.
400.
Yeah.
400.
400. And what is the last one?
300.
2 400s. No, 300 now.
300.
400 and 300, Abi?
Yes.
Means that this system has been on for many days now. So I'm not even sure whether it's the system or the network itself.
I'll be switching it off now when you're done with the classes now.
Is Brian ever done with classes?
But at
That's
least
a good
the
question.
night. You won't be having, but he's not having lectures 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock now.
But yesterday we finished around 11:30.
Which of the
Okay,
classes?
so P4, old people's home. So we have our revenue now. Our revenue is selling price multiplied by sales volume, Abi.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can just come here and say it's equal to 150 multiplied by so we have for the I'm struggling with where this dollar came from. What's the 7080? What's the fourth year?
5730.
5730. Okay, so we have that. From here, we can get our contribution. This one minus the other one. And so we can drag that for all the years. And we're good. Then from there, we can get our fixed cost. So our fixed cost, they said our fixed cost is what? 400 in current price terms.
Inflation 10%.
Inflation 10%. So fixed cost will now be equal to, so okay, so we can put that, so times multiplied by 1.10 raised to the power n. So our fixed cost now will be equal to 400 multiplied by 1.1 raised to the power of our year one. And then we can drag that. Let's be careful to ensure that the fixed cost. Now, another thing, be sure that our fixed cost is did you hear what I said?
How will you differentiate?
Sometimes the question might be that if you're inflating from year two, you already have year one inflated. So it might give you a fixed cost in year one. Please just be careful. I'm just looking at the different things that the examiner might say or that an exam question might say. So if it says the fixed cost, the fixed cost is given to you in the question is the fixed cost in the first year. However, there will be inflation of so per year. So if they've given you the fixed cost in the first year, that means you already have the fixed cost in the first year inflated. So all you need to do is to start inflating from year two. So year two will be raised to power one. So it will be n minus one for each year. So year three will be raised to power two. Year four will be raised to power three. Do you get the point I made?
Please say that again.
I said that be careful that it's not impossible for you to get a question where they tell you, we're giving you a value, whether fixed cost, variable cost, selling price, anything in year one. So they will tell you the fixed cost in year one is expected to be $20. However, so what did I say? Let's assume the selling price in year one is expected to be $20. And there will be selling price inflation of 20 multiplied by 1.04 raised to power 1. Year 1 is already the figure that they've given you. So it's only from year 2 that you will start inflating. And then every year's inflation, because you had the year 1 already given to you, every year's inflation will be raised to power n minus 1. So year 2's inflation will be 2 minus 1. Year 3 inflation will be 3 minus 1. So it will be lagging by 1 year in what you're raising it.
Okay, that means you're not starting. You have to start from. You're not starting from the scratch.
Yes, exactly. You're starting from year 2 to inflate.
Yeah.
So year 1 inflation will be raised to power 0, which will be the same figure that they've given you. Okay, so we can get our pre-tax operating cash flows now. So our pre-tax operating cash flows will subtract, so it's equal to this minus the one below it. And then we can drag. And then we can do tax now. Tax at, what was the percentage for tax?
30%.
30.
Yes.
Okay, so we're back to our 30% again. So that means that will be equal to 30% of the pre-tax cash flow. And then we want to put negative. So we get all those figures. And then what's next? Tax allowable depreciation now, right?
Yes.
So we'll do that as a working. And the working is too straightforward, so it will not even bother us at all. Okay, so our expected value was our first working, if you will, but we can have left it separately. So please, there's no need for year opening, closing, depreciation, and the rest of them. Our annual depreciation will be our initial outlay.
5 million.
So all of that, so that will now be divided by our number of years. So divided by number of years, 5 million, right?
5 million.
So that's 5,000
500.
minus 500.
Divided by 4.
So that's 1125. So therefore, our tax allowable depreciation will be equal to our annual depreciation multiplied by our tax rate.
Tax rate.
So that's equal to that figure multiplied by, you said tax rate is 30%.
30%.
Okay, so that gives us 337.5, Abi.
Your computer said.
Okay, so we can just come and put that figure now. So it's equal to that figure. And if this allows me, I'll drag it. If it doesn't allow me, I'll come and put the figures. So it didn't allow me. There's definitely an easy way for the Excel gurus amongst us.
To lock it. So allow it.
I have to lock it.
Yeah, put the dollar sign.
Okay, so let's try. Let me try what I expect it to be. So let me go from the first one and lock that. So before the K and before the 15. So if we've been learning from our Excel gurus, then we should not have a
I
problem
learned
here.
this law from Joshua and Mr. Richard.
Yeah, so even myself, I will not lie. Our Excel gurus. We see your hand, though. Yes, you said what? So you put before the two things, before the number of the cell, before the letter of the cell, and before the number of the cell. So in this case now, we'll put before K and before 15.
That is only the number address, the cell number that you are locking.
Yes.
Mm. Okay, we are anti-clock, analog, paperwork.
Hafsa, did you get that?
Yeah, K15 is this 337.5, right?
Yes.
I'm wondering why we're not highlighting it and we're highlighting this column down.
Which column down?
I mean this tax depreciation. That's where I can. Oh.
Okay, we're not highlighting this figure. Abi?
Yes.
Okay, so we can highlight it. I don't even want that other one highlighted. And this one is just a mistake. It's because the whole thing is highlighted. That's why that whole row is highlighted. So
Okay.
I can unhighlight it and just highlight only my answer. And if you want, we can even underline it.
Okay, that's K. Okay, so how do you lock it now? From here?
So before the letter and before the number of the cell, just put a dollar sign.
Oh. So where do I get dollar sign from? Symbol? I don't know.
Shift.
Function 4.
Shift 4. Shift 4.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right. So we have our initial outlay and scrap. So initial outlay minus 5,000, and then our scrap in the final year is plus 500. Okay, so with that, we're all but done. So after the scrap now, we can get our free cash flows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our free cash flows, our first free cash, okay, so we get our free cash flows. So it's equal to the sum of all of them. So from our pre-tax operating cash flows, drag to our scrap. And with that,
Mr. Burn.
yes, sir.
The tax tax allowable depreciation calculation you've just done. I know what you've done, but why is it so? Why is
They
it
asked
not
us
the
for
normal way?
straight line method. This is straight line method. Before we
Okay.
used to do reducing balance.
Balance method. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll do 11%. So 11%. So it's equal to 1.11
Minus.
raised to the power minus,
And
and we said we'll pick that cell. Oh, sorry, that cell. I don't understand why these dollars are coming in my thing. So Excel gurus, if you know why this dollar is there, please tell me. Let me remove it. I'm not enjoying it.
Maybe you press the currency figure.
Huh?
Maybe you press the currency figure.
That's fine.
Oh, okay, that's true. I did actually. I trust you. I trust my Excel gurus. Oh, I don't know where I would have been without them.
Just count for them.
I know that you spoil everything. I just know.
I will spoil everything.
You don't used to disappoint me at all.
In short, I know what I will do. I'll be
Even
quiet
one day,
from now on.
even one day for you to just disappoint me, like.
Okay, I won't talk again.
Don't
I
be
steal.
For where?
In short, I steal and I'm off.
If I will still find, I know where to, I know the button to press now. If I press that button, you must stop. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay, so now we have our present value, finally. So our present values, oh, yeah, I'm not doing this, let me just and remove all these things I'm not feeling them at all.
if it's in the exam, you will not fail because of science.
Of course now, no,
So
at
why are you
all.
worried?
It doesn't affect anything.
So why are you worried?
Yes, sir?
So why are
I'm
you
not just
worried? The
enjoying
important
it.
thing is for us to get the.
Because I'm in class, so as in I'm in class, I can afford to do any of these things, all this whole design, like if you're doing technical drawing. That's not exam. In a place where we can do it. Okay, so our present values now, so it will be equal to this cell multiplied by the cell below it. And so we're good. Well, okay. So, sorry, Madam Afsat, are you back? I think we're
Your PVs are not 3 decimal places. What do you do? 3 decimal places or 2 decimal?
I changed them to 2 decimal places, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay, and then my PVs. Okay, you said my PVs, right?
Yeah.
So I want to make PVs the same 2 decimals. The only thing I wanted to make 3 decimal was my discount factor. Okay, so my MPV now. Okay. Is equal to the sum of all of them. So my net present value is what? So what will we say?
Accept project based on financial grounds because simply is positive.
So accept the project on financial grounds because MPV is positive.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Who else? Madam Hafsat, this thing it's been costing time for her. Okay, so can we move on?
Just a moment,
So we're
please.
done with.
Just a moment.
Okay.
No, it's just to complete what we're doing. Fine.
Okay. So we have everything we want. Now we can come. So with that, we are done with this. We can go to do our sensitivity analysis.
All right, just join back, please.
Yes, I noticed.
All right.
Okay, so please, is there
Please, can you
any?
take it
Please
down a
check and
little?
see whether there's any issue that you have.
Please, can you take it down a
Now,
little?
up cash flows are now the summation of everything from our pre-tax operating cash flows, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then we get our MPV as positive, and so we can accept based on. So we start with sensitivity to selling price. So we'll do our sensitivity to selling price. And we remember that we said our sensitivity to selling price.
So Brian, please, I'd like to record.
It's the NPV.
To record.
Yes, please.
Okay. So our sensitivity to selling price, I've granted you access.
Yes, thank you.
Is equal to is equal to NPV divided by PV of revenue.
Selling price.
And if you will, we can do 1 minus T. Okay, so this value now, we can come and calculate it. We can say that NPV, no, there's no need. So PV of revenue now, PV of revenue, and because we have already done it, it makes our life easy. So we can come and get the.
Sorry, Brian, why are you putting the one minus T?
We'll have to do after tax. It has to be after tax because there's tax in the question. So in many sensitivity analysis questions, they will tell you ignore tax. So if they tell you ignore tax, then no problem. But I'm just doing the most complicated one, which is the one with tax consequences.
Okay.
Do you get the point?
Yeah.
Okay. So our PV of revenue, wow, because of the question is it's complete somewhat. So we have to do for the present value for all of them. And that will waste a lot of time. So what I can do is to say is equal to this figure multiplied by the discount factor for that year plus, and that means I have to do all of them. So plus the next year multiplied by the discount factor for that year plus the next year again. You said?
No, it's not that it's coming up. Before it wasn't coming up what you were doing.
Okay.
I said
so
before
what I'm
it
doing
wasn't
is
what you were doing.
I'm
Wasn't
doing
showing.
okay. So I heard you. Sorry. So all I'm doing is the present value for all the years, and it's highlighting so you can see what I've done. So I started with the first year revenue multiplied by its discount factor plus the second year's revenue multiplied by its discount factor plus the third year's revenue multiplied by its discount factor, and then the fourth year's revenue multiplied by the discount factor. Is that fine? Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I can put all of these things in bracket if I want. I just want to be safe.
You didn't open the bracket first.
No, that's why I went back. I wanted to do two of them. I hope this is not Hafsat. Sure. Okay, so that's the present value of revenue. Before I leave here, I want to make sure everybody is clear about this.
Your screen is slow.
Okay, please, Hafsat, I've been waiting for you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I said that we want to get the present value of revenue. So our present value of revenue is revenue, that's the revenue in each year multiplied by their discount factors. So I did it for all the years, and so I get that figure. So I get this figure. Okay, so that's my present value for revenue. So this implies now that my sensitivity to selling price will now be equal to my MPV divided by my present value of, okay, so I would have done that 1 minus T.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, but I've not done the correct, So I have to put that in bracket first. So I have to put that in bracket because the 1 minus T is down, right? 1, our tax rate is 30%, Abi?
Yes.
Yeah.
70%.
That sensitivity is very strange.
How do you mean, Brian? Okay. Brian,
Is
you
that?
do 0 point something, 0 point. Okay.
I didn't hear you, sir.
No, it's fine.
Okay, so the sensitivity is 20.37%.
20 point. Okay.
You sir?
Okay.
20.37 is what I got.
Sorry, I want to find out something.
Yes, please.
This 1 minus T, is it applied to the whole formula or
No, just to
PV
the
of
revenue.
The PV of revenue.
Just to the present value of revenue. Yes.
So we can apply it where we calculated the PV of revenue. Can we apply it on it before we do the
Okay, so we can just do the 1 minus T there, right?
You can do it. Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So if you look, if I can just come here and do something separate. So if I wanted to do my PV of revenue now, so if I take that figure, so it's equal to this figure, right? Multiplied by 1 minus T. So I get that figure, and then with that now, I now say, so therefore my sensitivity now will be equal to my MPV divided by that figure. And then now multiplied by 100.
Your screen is not
It gives me
active.
exactly the same thing. Oh, okay.
So I can't see what
Is it back now?
Yeah, it is.
but you have to go back to what
Okay, so let me show you what I did.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So I said, okay, so let me delete them. So I said that. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello?
Okay, so what I said is, all I'll just do is, if you want that, so we can say just a side working. So my is equal to my present value of revenue, then multiplied by 1 minus T. So 1 minus T, and then I get a figure. So that's my PV of revenue 1 minus T. And then, therefore, my sensitivity will now be equal to MPV divided by my present value of revenue 1 minus T, and then multiplied by 100.
Okay.
And you see, it gives me exactly the same thing with that one.
But Brian, why is
the
summation of the present value of revenue? Because from yesterday, you know, when you wrote this, I was wondering what that present value of revenue is. That is the total summation of every year.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
It's the summation of every year.
Okay.
The summation of the present value of revenue for every year.
Okay.
Mr. Brian.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it also a multiplication? Is it also multiplication? Because I'm not getting what you got. Is it multiplied by 1 minus the tax rate, or just open brackets, close brackets?
It's multiplied by 1 minus the tax rate.
Tax rate. Okay.
Mr. Brian.
Yes, please.
So now, what is the interpretation of this sensitivity analysis now?
That's what I'm coming to now. That's what I'm coming to. First of all, let's get the calculation. Once we've gotten the calculation, then the most important part is the interpretation.
I have a Skype call now and I need to leave.
Okay, if you can just give me even 1 minute, let me just interpret this first one.
Okay.
Okay, so the interpretation is basically this. It means that our interpretation means that, or we can interpret saying that therefore our sensitivity is 20.37. This implies that if the selling price falls by 20.37%, the net present value of the project would become 0. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Shagun, are you still here?
I'm here. I got that.
Okay, so it says that, so our interpretation is basically that if the selling price should fall by 20.37%, the net present value of the project will become 0. That still implies that if the selling price falls by more than 20.37, what will happen?
Reject the project to become negative. NPV becomes
So the NPV will become negative. So if we think about what this means in essence, it means that we're going to be, so our margin of error, if we go back to our F5, our margin of safety in terms of revenue or selling price is 20.37. So from where we are now, if it falls by say 10%, we know that if we look at only selling price, if selling price should fall by 10%, all other factors being constant, our NPV will still be positive. If it falls by 15%, NPV will still be positive. But if it falls to by 20.37, then NPV will be 0. Any fall in selling price higher than 20.37 will imply that our NPV is negative. Do you get the point?
Yeah.
Khalifa, do you get what I'm doing?
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Abraham.
Yeah, Hafsat, your network has been very, very, very lousy.
Terrible.
I've been feeling for you.
Seriously.
Maybe you should change position from where you are. Sometimes the network you're using, the position also will also affect it.
Okay.
Yeah, change your position. Locate where you can get better access to your the line you're using.
Or you can go and buy 5G network.
Where can I get that from now when there's lockdown?
From
5G,
China.
5G, they're still selling it now. 5G from China.
Wuhan, precisely.
Mr. Brown, help me order it. I'll credit your account.
Okay, I trust you, ma. From Wuhan, I've been waiting for the name of that place. They are selling it. 5G.
Sorry, please, can you just explain to me what you did? The whole of sensitivity analysis, I don't know. I was off.
Okay, so we said sensitivity measures how a change in one project variable will affect the net present value of a project. And so we looked at our sensitivity to selling price as the first one. And from yesterday, we said our sensitivity is net present value divided by the present value of revenue. Now, so the present value of revenue was what we calculated. And we said our present value of revenue will be, if we go back up, our present value of revenue will be the revenue figure in our formula sheet. So all the revenue multiplied by the discount factors in their years, the summation of that.
Okay, you mean revenue figure here?
So the revenue figure, so 452 multiplied by 0.901 for year one, plus like that. All the revenue figures multiplied by their discount factors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the summation.
So we now did NPV divided by that figure.
Okay.
and then got it as a percentage, and it gave us 20.37.
Okay. Okay.
Mr.
Okay. This
Brian,
is the total value of the revenue figure, and we did this MPV over this
So we got
value,
the
20.37.
yes. So we got the present value of the revenue, and then we did MP divided by that present value of the revenue. We removed tax from it to get our sensitivity. Shegun, you were saying something.
Mr. Brian, sorry, you remove tax from the total value or just from the present value of revenue? Because I can see 1 minus T just beside it.
Yes, from the present value of revenue.
Okay, then we'll now divide by the MPV.
So MPV divided by that figure.
Mr.
Okay.
Brian,
Yes, MPV divided by that figure.
Okay then. And then what's the minimum
Brian,
implies that the
100.
selling price is 20.37? Okay.
Okay, so I want to explain. Let me just explain it again. Yeah, Joshua, you were asking something.
I'd like to record, please.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, this class is almost done though. As in the time where we'll reconnect once it logs us out. Okay, so the discussion of that now. The discussion of that, we said that this implies that this calculation we've done implies that if the selling price should fall by 20.37, the value we've computed, then the MPV will become negative. That's of course keeping all other factors constant. And we said that we can still also say that if the selling price falls by more than 20.37, then MPV will become negative.
So how did you know that nil negative? Are we going to cram it or what?
No, it's just if you think about it logically, if we are saying that if the selling price should fall by 20.37%, the truth about it is if you go back now, please, all of us, if we are looking at if we can see my screen, if you go back now and subtract 20.37 from these figures, from our revenue figures, your net present value will become 0. Do you get what I'm saying?
No,
Yeah?
I don't.
If we go back now, okay, let me just look for trouble. If we go back now and say this figure now multiplied by, so we want to reduce it by 20.37, so it will be 1 minus 0.2037, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you seeing my screen? Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I do that, and then I do it for all the years. So it's just rounding that would make it different. So this now 1 minus 0.2037. Then the next year again. So multiplied by 1 minus 0.2037. And then the final year multiplied by.
Sorry, Brian.
Yes.
The minus, when you said the revenue figure multiplied by 1 minus
Yes.
0.2, so that is the 20%.
That's the 20.2 multiplied by 1 minus the 20. That's what a fall. If you say a fall in revenue, a fall in revenue of 20.7, 1 minus 2037, right? Yeah?
Yes.
And that's what I did for. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, please. Let's look at what we said. We said that if selling price should fall by 20.37%, then our MPV will become 0, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what we're doing is, let's try and we now said, okay, I now said, let me practically show you what that means. And I'm glad that we're using a spreadsheet to make our lives easy. Usually I'll tell people that if you have time, go home and go and try it, and you see that it works. But we've tried it now with our spreadsheet. Now, if we're saying something fell by 20.37, what does that mean? It means that the value in percentage will be 100 minus that 20.37. So it will fall to 79.63% of the current amount. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it will fall to 79.63 of the current value. So what I did now was I went to my revenue. I could have gone to the selling price to give me exactly the same figure. So I went to my revenue and reduced it by 20.37 each year. So every year I multiplied by 1 minus 0.2037. That is 20.37% reduction. Do you get that?
Yeah.
So I reduced it in every year by 20.37. And now, once we've done that, we've kept every other thing constant. We did not change any other thing apart from the revenue. Now, what is your MPV now? What's the MPV?
0.
It's 0 minus 0.
It's 0.
Negative.
Technically.
Yeah.
But it's 0. It's 0. It's really 0. Just rounding error. It's just because we rounded that figure. If we used the full figure, it would have given us exactly 0.
Right. Brian, I have you said are we doing sensitivity to selling price or sensitivity to revenue? Because revenue now is sales volume and selling price.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
That means it's affecting the sales volume as well. The 20.
It's not affecting this. It's not affecting the sales volume at all.
Affecting the price.
Really?
It's affecting the price. The price. Remember that your revenue. Both your total variable cost and your revenue have the same constant factor. So what I will do now, and this is just really spending a lot of time on it, but what I will do is I will go back and let's now do it on the selling price rather than on the revenue. So we'll take the revenue back to normal and do it on the selling price. You'll see that you will still get the same 0. It will still give you the same thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you get the point?
It should in the proportion.
It will give you exactly the same thing. So if you had done it on selling price or you did it on revenue, it doesn't make a difference. It's not affected the volume in any way. The volume is constant. The volume is on its own. What you've just done in doing that 1 minus 20.37 is affected the selling price, not the volume.
It also affected the contribution.
It will affect everything. It will affect everything. It will affect tax. That's why we 1 minus did it. It will affect tax. It will affect your present values. It will change a lot of things. But that change, every other factor was constant. So your total variable cost is still as it were. Your initial outlay is still as it were. Your scrap is still as it were. Your fixed cost is still as it were. But because you have changed something at the beginning of your whole computation, it will have an effect on anything that is added or subtracted to get that value. So any value that is not original will be affected, but every value that is original, that's why we said the factors, our inputs, our project variables are those ones that come by themselves. You don't have to calculate anything to get them.
So in essence, Brian, there's no trouble when we're asked for sensitivity on selling price and we do the sensitivity on revenue.
Sensitivity on revenue, sensitivity on selling price.
Okay. So, and we cannot be asked for sensitivity on sales volume.
We can. So when we are doing sales volume now, that's why we said yesterday, and that's what I emphasized at the beginning of this class, that the
Contribution.
sensitivity to sales volume is contribution.
Okay. That's fine.
Revenue minus.
But so you'll not be penalized if they ask for sensitivity to selling price and you just did the sensitivity to selling price.
That would be wrong. That would be wrong
wrong?
because it's not. Yes, it will be wrong because the sensitivity to selling price, the selling price itself.
Okay,
If you
per
did
unit.
present value of selling price, it will not make any sense. Yes.
And because the selling price is per unit.
Yes, per unit, exactly. And your MPV is for the whole volume. So you're comparing apples with oranges. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, that's something.
So you have to get it in total terms. You have to get your selling price in total terms because your MPV is also in total terms.
That's something to note.
Your MPV is not MPV per unit. It's MPV in total.
Totals.
Okay. So likewise, your variable cost, you cannot say variable cost per unit. It has to be
as per unit. It has to be the total variable cost.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any other question? So let me go back. And let's go back to normal. I would have wanted to do that other one, but it will waste our time. So if you have this, you can try just try it with the selling price. The way it is structured now, you still get exactly the same result. So we have, this was our MPV before, Abi?
Yeah.
No.
MPV?
No.
No, it was 3805.
5.04.
That's what I have here, except my screen is lagging.
Okay, yeah. That's changed.
3805.04. Right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So that's our sensitivity to selling price. Now, please, I have to do for the other ones. If not, there's some things you need to understand. So before we go rush to discount factor, let's just try and be efficient and let's do the sensitivity to some other things. So let's do sensitivity to variable cost. Sensitivity to variable cost, first of all, we need to get our PV of our total variable cost.
Mr. Brian.
So because we've spent, yes, sir.
So I'd like to record.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So we're looking at our sensitivity to variable cost. And we said it will be the present value of total variable cost. And then maybe I can also put 1 minus T so that we're clear about what we're doing. So I won't spend as much time as I spent on the other one because we want to try and get somewhere. So where we have tax, we must be conscious of the 1 minus T. If we don't have tax, then we don't have any 1 minus T. So this will now be equal to, and then we can go up, scroll up, and we know that it will now be our total variable cost. So we are doing this one, right? Multiplied by its factor plus the next year multiplied by its factor plus the next, and so that's our figure. So we can 1 minus t it if we want, or we can just come and do, therefore, sensitivity to variable cost, it will now be equal to our MPV, so the MPV divided by our present value of variable cost, and then 1 minus t. Our tax rate is 30%, Abi?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I can multiply that by 100. That gives me 37.47%. So what does this mean? Is everybody with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what does this mean?
Variable cost falls by
Mr. Ben,
Means that if variable cost reduces by 37.4%, NPV becomes 0.
Should what? You said what?
If variable cost reduces by 37.47%.
If it reduces, did you say if it reduces?
False.
Yes.
Increase.
If it falls by.
If it
Well,
falls.
not fall. The variable
Now, please,
cost is
it
minus.
shows, please, can you listen to me?
Increases its cost. Its cost.
So please see that sensitivity, when we are dealing with sensitivity, we have to understand what we are considering. For cost, we are sensitive to cost rising, we are sensitive to outflows rising and to inflows falling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So while we are talking, and this is why I said I must do this one, if we just went to the discount factor, you might have missed a plot. Now it's important to appreciate that for the revenue or for contribution, for example, when we are doing our sales volume, we are afraid that it should fall. But for costs, we are afraid that they will rise. Do you get the point?
Yeah.
So we are saying that this implies that if variable costs should increase by 37.47, MPV would become 0. And in essence, if we continue on that thought, if our variable cost increases by more than 37.47%, MPV will become negative. Is this fine? Is this fine?
Absolutely.
No, it's not fine.
Madam Hafsat.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Hello,
Okay,
Mr. Brian.
Uju, what's the problem?
Yeah, please,
Yes.
can you take your mouse back to the PV of total variable? Because I want to see what you did there. I want to see what I'm
Okay, the PV
getting.
of total variable cost. I just
If you
did
can just
variable cost.
I want to see. Just put your yes. I want to see. Okay, put it in bracket. Okay, you didn't do the total here. Okay.
So I just did the present value of the variable cost in every year.
Okay.
So where did you
Variable
apply your
cost.
1 minus tax? 1 minus tax.
I now applied it in the formula at the end. I could have done it separately. So I did it together with the variable cost in the denominator of my sensitivity formula.
Okay, can I see it? Sorry.
Yes, that's what I'm highlighting now.
Okay. Please divide. Okay.
So I did it in the denominator of my sensitivity formula. I could have done it separately and then brought it to the sensitivity formula.
Okay.
So in the same way that we just looked at the other one, if we add, Mr. Richard, are you
I'm
here?
here. Yes, I'm here.
So if you see now, so in this case now, if we add that 37, what was it again, please? I can't see my screen down. What was it?
37.47.
So see now, if I come here and
37.47.
say, yes, I heard you. My screen is hanging for me, then it's hanging for you too. Bless you.
Sorry.
Bele.
Thank you.
I know someone will be afraid now. Someone cannot sneeze in peace again. Someone cannot sneeze in peace again before people now start fearing that it use phone and enter inside. I better allow us to sneeze in peace, so please.
And to yawn in peace.
Okay, so all I'm saying is if we added if we added 1 plus our
7.47.
3747.
37.47 to our variable cost for all the years, then we'll see that the MPV will become 0. Do you get the point?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just continue. We have very little time. So let's do our sensitivity
I
now.
want to make a clarification, please. I beg of you.
Yes.
Yeah, if I understood you very well, you said this figure of 37.47, it's your total variable cost and the different factor, the summation of everything.
Yes.
Is that what we did?
Yes,
okay.
That's what we did.
Then at the end, you would subtract your corporation tax value from it.
Yes.
Okay, because I was also wondering why we had to do MPV blah over what. I don't know.
So it's MPV divided by present value of the project variable. That's our formula for sensitivity.
Okay. Okay, that's why I got it wrong. Thank you.
Okay, so let's please just leave everything you're doing and let's focus on this one. I hope my screen is not lagging.
Yes.
If my screen is not lagging, then just focus on this next one and you get the same concept that we have used in the 2 above. So for sales volume, we said we are going to use contribution. So first of all, let's get our PV of contribution. So it's equal to, and maybe Madam Faith, I can do this one with 1 minus T, right? Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can do this with 1 minus T. Okay, so let's scroll up. Okay, so I'm looking for sales volume now. So my contribution, so I can come here and say, is equal to and then I'm doing for my contribution now. So, okay, no, let me open the bracket first. So it's equal to contribution for the first year multiplied by its discount factor plus the next year's contribution multiplied by discount factor plus the next year's contribution multiplied by its discount factor, and then plus the last year's contribution multiplied by its discount factor. And then I close my bracket. And then, if you will, we can multiply that by 1 minus t. And we get our figure.
Brian, you don't have any figure?
I don't know what happened though. So I'll just do it again. So plus
Brian,
next year.
Brian,
Yes, please.
if I want to do like a shortcut for me, you understand? I can, after writing down the formula that's NPV minus the net present value of the contribution, 1 minus T. What I can do is, when I get the figure of the NPV divided by the contribution, I just do it multiplied by 70% because the tax is already 30%. 1 minus 10 is, as in, just go straight on.
Yeah, anywhere you put it will be fine. Okay, so that's my figure. So this implies now that my, therefore, sensitivity to sales volume will be equal to the NPV divided by, since we've already 1 minus t this figure, we won't have to do it again. So then that's now multiplied by 100. So that gives us 44.64. Hafsa, did you get this? Is Hafsa here? Madam Hafsa, okay,
yes. I got it.
Okay, so that's that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can say that we can, what's the connotation of this?
Our sales volume declines by or reduces by 44.64%.
44, yeah.
So that if sales volume
falls by 44.64%.
$44.64. MPV will be 0. And of course, if sales volume falls by more than 44.64, then MPV will become negative.
Negative. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Then sensitivity to fixed cost. So our present value of fixed cost so that will be equal to so our fixed cost figures. So this now multiplied by its discount factor plus the next year multiplied by its discount factor plus the next year multiplied by its discount factor plus the final year multiplied by its discount factor. And now go, I can now multiply by. I'm coming. I want to 1 minus 3 it first.
Okay.
So it's showing 1095, Abi. If any other person is calculating. Okay, so therefore, our sensitivity to fixed cost will be MPV again. So MPV divided by our PV of fixed cost multiplied by 100.
No tax rate here.
Wow.
Very large, right?
We did tax directly when we were up.
Okay.
I thought I was wrong.
Wow, is this figure?
I got the same figure and I was wrong. I'm telling you.
Wow, okay, so that's it.
Really?
That's significant.
It's cost,
yeah,
so it should be.
It's possible.
Wow.
So now let's do our sensitivity to initial outlay. So the day the examiner is playing with you, he'll give you sensitivity to initial outlay. That one we can do directly. So initial outlay is discounted at 1, so it doesn't make any difference.
That way, you just want to play
What
with
is
your
the implication of this course?
Same thing. That's why I didn't want to waste time. Okay, let me.
So cost. So it should be similar to variable cost.
Increases, I mean.
Okay, don't worry.
That's fine. That's fine.
Sorry. Don't worry. I'll just.
347%.
Yeah, that's very, very strange.
It will take a long time for that to happen.
Coming to that, so fixed cost should increase by 347.49. NPV will be nil. So sensitivity to initial outlay is NPV divided by initial outlay, because it will be in the same year. So that's straightforward. So that's equal to initial outlay doesn't have tax implication. So NPV divided by our initial outlay.
Positive.
I just put the minus. I just put the minus to remove that minus. Is that fine? Do you get the point?
Nope.
I'm trying to get.
Yeah? I said the initial outlay is not going to change. As in, the initial outlay is not going to be the discount factor, and it's not affected by tax.
Yeah.
What happened to the minus? We just ignore it.
So I removed it. You can remove it by putting a minus in front of the equal to sign.
Oh.
So if the initial outlay rises by by 76.10, then NPV will be 0. And then finally, we do the discount rate. Do our IRR. So straightforward, we can just do our IRR like what we said the other day. We can do our IRR. Did we end up having to copy them in separate places? I think we can still do it slanted like this now. So IRR is about to log us out. So when it does, we'll just come back. So sensitivity to discount rate. So first of all, we get our IRR. Our IRR will be equal to IRR, our sensitivity to IRR, we can just say is equal to IRR, then open bracket, and then since we already have them laid out,
Brian, access.
we can come here.
Okay, fine.
Access, please.
Yes, I've granted you.
Yeah.
I've granted you, Mr. Richard.
Yeah.
What of faith?
Okay, I'm coming.
Brian, you said IRR is 24%?
Yeah, that's what I got.
From?
Open bracket and what?
So all I just did is go there, say IRR. So if you look at my formula bar, is equal to IRR into, and then I just dragged along that line.
Can't see it. Your this thing is hanging.
Okay, so let me. Is it fine now? Are you seeing my screen? I've deleted it. Let me do it again.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So is equal to IRR. Then I opened the bracket, and then I went to my. Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. I'll go to my free cash flows. Please don't be careless. It's the free cash flows, not the discounted, not the present values. So I pick my free cash flows, and then I close it. I close my bracket, and then I enter. So it's 38%. Is this fine?
Yeah.
So now we come to our discussion of this, and there are two things to note. So this implies now that if the discount rate rises to, if it rises to 38%, MPV will become 0. However, our sensitivity to discount rate will actually be equal to the difference between our current rate minus the difference between our IRR and our normal rate. Our normal rate is 11%.
11%.
So that now we can divide that by the 11%. We're saying the growth.
Divide by 11%, Brian.
No, the cost of
yes, divided by 11%.
Oh, growth.
Yes, growth. IRR minus your discount rate, your current discount, or your cost of capital. Your sensitivity to discount rate will be your IRR minus your cost of capital divided by your cost of capital times 100%. That will be what it will fall by, but what it will fall to. It will fall to the IRR. Please be very careful. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's really one of the final things I want to leave us with. It will fall by, if they ask you, by what percentage will the discount rate need to fall by? It will have to fall by 240, whatever the percentage is now.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Please record access. I went off. My network was bad.
Okay, okay, I'm coming.
Thank you.
It's 17 hours.
Okay, so if we're looking at this, we're saying that there's an important distinction to be made. What the discount rate will fall by and what the discount rate will fall to. So the discount rate would have to fall by 245.14% for MPV to become negative. But the discount rate would have to, you said?
Mr. Brian.
How did we get the
please.
245, please?
Is it fall or rise?
I was about to ask
sorry, rise.
Mr. Brian.
Yes, please.
Please, how did you get the 245.14? Is it the summation of
Okay,
all
so I've written the formula out. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Discount rate.
So if you see here, it's IRR minus WACC divided by WACC times 100%.
Okay. Thank you.
So it will have to fall by, so if I will, sorry, it will have to rise. I don't know why I'm saying fall constantly. So this implies that if discount rate rises by 245.14%, MPV will become nil. You said? What did you say?
Brian, I think one should be rise and one should be follow, because so if discount rate rises by 38%, MPV will become nil. And then if it rises by this, okay, that's fine.
So the idea is, I want to introduce you to Toby, my friend. I want you to introduce you to Toby. One is rises to, the other one is rises by.
Okay.
So if it rises to 38%, from 11% to 38%, and if you think about it, 11%, 100% of 11% is 11 times 2, which is 22%. 22% is still not up to 38%. So it's more than 100% rise. 11 times 2 times 3 is a 200% rise. And 11 times 3 is 33%. So it's more than 200% the rise. What it will have to rise by, but it is rising to 38%. So that's the one of the issues with it. It can either be a rise to or a rise by. Do you get the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So easy to see here. If we actually even do this just as a revision, if we go here, or where did we get our discount rate? If we go here and instead of 11%, if we used 38%, right?
Mm.
If we use 38% instead of 11, well, huh? That not that's 38% now.
When you drag.
What happened on my screen? Am I supposed to drag it? Okay. I thought it would change for all of them. Okay, so if I drag that, you see that it becomes technic 0. The reason why this is giving us a rounding, giving us something that is not exactly 0 is because of rounding error.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm getting this rise and fall.
Brian, you need to introduce.
Okay, so what's the issue?
Introduce Toby to her.
So let me come and meet our friend Toby. So the idea is simple. There's a difference between rising to and rising by. So if we're saying that if it rises to 38% from 11% now, from 11, if it goes to 38, then MPV will become negative. So that is rising from 11% to 38%. However, the rise from to 38 is over 200% increase, because a 200% increase would have been 11 times 3. That would be 33%. So it has to rise by more than 200%. So it's rising by 245.14% before the MPV will become nil. Do you get the point?
Yes.
Okay, now I want to ask one final question before we go. And the question is simple.
Sorry, Brian. That means if the NPV now discount rate rises to 245%, then
rises by
rises by 245%, then NPV becomes negative.
Will become
what was the last statement?
You become negative. Nil. To become
if it rises more than 245.14%, if it rises by more than that, then MPV will become negative.
Become negative, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was asking a question, and let me put all of them, all the sensitivities we've calculated. Our final question is this: to which of these factors is this project most sensitive to? Is it selling price, variable cost, fixed cost, sales volume, initial outlay, or discount rate? And why?
Selling price.
Because he has a smaller.
Why?
Because it's very sensitive. A little.
Exactly. And you said that earlier, and I said that we are going to come to that.
Okay.
Yes. So a very little change in selling price compared to any of them will lead to the MPV falling to 0. So this project
we're still not done.
Wonder.
Is most sensitive. You said?
No.
So this project is most sensitive to selling price because a little or a relatively little change in selling price compared to the other factors. Can you see my screen, what I'm typing?
Yes.
So a relatively small percentage change.
Madam Hafsans.
I don't know.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that was very, very important. So because the selling price is the one that has the smallest percentage change that will lead to an MPV becoming nil, it means that the project is most sensitive to selling price. So the 20.37 is smaller than 37.47, which is smaller than 44.64, which is definitely smaller than 347, and then 76, and then 245. And so it is least sensitive to what?
Fixed cost.
So our project is least sensitive to fixed cost, followed by, after fixed cost, what else? What's the next one?
Discounting factor.
Discount factor.
Yeah, exactly.
Discounting factor.
The discount rate.
Yeah.
To the discount rate. Rate. So the project is least sensitive to fixed cost. Okay. All right. So that's that.
Mr. Brian.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please, for IRR, I missed that part. If you can just put your mouse there. I want to see what you did there.
For which one? This one?
For the IRR itself. IRR, not sensitivity, the IRR.
Okay, no, the IRR is just is equal to IRR, and drag it from
free cash flow
for the free cash flows.
Is that the summation of the free cash flows?
Yeah, you would type IRR instead of summation, instead of sum. You type IRR equal to IRR, then drag on the free cash flows. Be careful, not on the present values, on the free cash flows.
Okay. I'll just type IRR. Do I need to put
yes, equal to IRR. IRR. Open bracket.
Then click on the first and then drag.
Drag,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any question?
Please, the sensitivity calculation, is it possible to be on one screen so we can save that part?
I saw that it wasn't. I saw that it wasn't.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
It's more than one screen.
Okay.
It's more than. It starts from here, and then it extends more than one screen. So instead, we can do it on two screens.
Please, can you give us one?
Okay, so this is the first screen.
Okay.
So up to fixed cost.
Okay.
And then the second one. Okay, so we can just, that's where it's. Sir?
If you can share the Excel sheet.
Yes, I want to share. You know that we have a number of workings here now. We've done 3 that I've saved on the same sheet. So once I calm down, I think it's pretty easy to share Excel now. I can just send it as a mail, Abby.
I sent
something. Can you send it to
WhatsApp
and share it as a file on WhatsApp?
I sent something to you too on Excel. I worked on some.
On Excel, Abby? Okay, so I'll send the last 3. So if you see now my screen, I have Hraxim Co's computation here. So the Hraxim Co and all the information we did on Hraxim Co. Then I have the yesterday zone. So we have, what's the name of yesterday zone, sir?
Okay.
Hraxim. Oh, madam, don't be angry. We have Hraxim, and then we have.
Brian, looking for my trouble. Brian, looking for my trouble.
Why are you doing like this now?
Brian, looking for my trouble. Hey, Miliki.
Don't used to play with you. Don't used to play with you.
Go.
Oh God. Okay, so this is our sensitivity. Please take sensitivity very seriously. Instead of the whole MPV that we've done, sensitivity can come out in the exam.
Wow. Really?
Okay, so I've delayed 15 minutes for the other class. We'll continue, we'll go to, is capital rationing or asset replacement? I think capital rationing next, or asset replacement on Saturday.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, do have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Yes, you say I've not done what?
You're looking for my trouble. I sent you something. You have not responded to me yet.
Okay, I will look at it. I'll look at it. I'll reach you.
Okay, no problem.
Then there's something that crossed my mind. Okay, then if we want to have a discussion class for this class, if you decide, maybe we discuss on the group. If you want to have a discussion class without me, it's pretty easy. And this will be quite useful instead of the one that you have to come from work and everything. So if you feel like if you can add another 2 hours or something for your discussion class, then please, it will be very, very fine. I can grant you access, and then you can create or you can actually do it by yourself, sir, without me.
Okay.
Is this fine?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then have a good week. See you on Saturday.
Okay, then bye.
Okay.
See you.
Bye, Mr. Richard.
Bye, Gertrude. Bye, bye, everybody.
Bye, Gertrude. Bye, Richard. Bye,
Jade.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.